Okay, guys. Whew. So this is the third time I have recorded the Bible study for this week, and for some reason I'm having technical difficulties. So hopefully, I'm not sure why. I've tried it two different ways, and at home there were just too many interruptions. I kept getting phone calls that would shut off the video. And then at church, my computer one just didn't record it. But here we go. We're looking at Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. It's traditionally called either the temptation of Jesus or the testing of Jesus. It's a story that is shared in all three of the Synoptic Gospels. The Mark version of it is very, very short, but Matthew and Luke both have it. And the discipline or the practice we're looking at this week is fasting. And we'll explain a little bit more about fasting in worship, but for here in this context, we'll just look at the text. And yeah, right before this in the Gospels and all three of the accounts, right before this experience is Jesus's baptism, where he goes out and he is baptized by John the Baptist in the desert. Well, he's baptized by John the Baptist, and when that happens, there is an account of God saying, "This is my beloved Son with whom I am well pleased." And then according to the Gospel of Mark, immediately following that, Jesus is led out into the wilderness. In Matthew, it just says then. But we're going to go with the assumption that that is right after. So this is before he even officially starts his ministry. When I was in seminary, we referred to this, or professors referred to this, as Jesus's preparation for ministry, which helped to shape it a little bit different for me. The word testing in here does not mean it does not mean like trying to catch you in something, or or it's not negative. It's not a negative kind of test. It is this, like, after the culmination of your preparation, we're gonna see if you're ready. And so that kind of changes it a little bit. We're going to hear reference to the devil and to Satan, and it's important to know kind of the roots of those words. The devil, the word there means divider, or the one who separates. And then Satan is the accuser, the accuser is a good one. It kind of puts seeds of doubt. And those seeds of doubt lead to separation and division. And so as we think about who God is, and God's the one who reconciles and provides wholeness and completion, this idea of peace, then the opposite of that is the one who divides and separates. So here we go. Matthew 4, verses 1 through 11. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, "All these I will give to you, if you will fall down and worship me." Then Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited upon him. So I think that all three of these vignettes are, and I'm not alone, it's kind of the belief for theologians and commentaries, that all three of these vignettes are all about power, and the world's definition of power versus God's definition of power, and just different angles of that, or ways to look at power, or manifestations of it. And so we'll think about that as we kind of tiptoe our way through this. And then also, if the devil is this accuser / divider, how is that coming to play in these? And then what does fasting have to do with it? I don't think fasting is just to show us that he was hungry. I think fasting was part of Jesus's practices, his kind of toolbox of preparation and being ready, and like knowing himself more fully, and knowing this mission for the world more fully. So anyways, then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested by the devil. Okay, so this is after his baptism. And so after this kind of moment of "this is my beloved," then he is led into the wilderness. So God is the initiator of this, but it's not a forced. It is it's this choice to go and spend time in solitude and time in fasting. You can anticipate there's time in prayer, thinking about just our own seasons of preparation, what those look like, and this kind of self-awareness that comes from it, this knowledge of our strengths and our weaknesses. I think all of that's happening here. And he fasts. And so in the wilderness is a geographical area of about 35 by 15 miles, and it is dry and bleak. And yeah, it is, one of the commentaries said it's the only place in Palestine you could really be alone. But then theologically, and within our worship tradition, wilderness signifies this space of struggling and kind of wrestling with God. But again, doing that with God and coming out the other side with a better self-knowledge, a better and deeper connection with God. And so Moses spends 40 days and 40 nights fasting and in solitude, and then comes back with the 10 Commandments. Elijah spends 40 days fasting and has an encounter with God on a mountain, where we talk about God comes by with the whisper. And then the 40 days of the flood and the 40 years of wandering. We've got this this wilderness experience of kind of stripping everything away so that we can find where real strength and real identity is found, and that's in God. And then it says, and afterwards he was famished, so he was hungry. What I know about fasting, though, I think sometimes we can just think with our modern notions of it that it just leads to hunger. Like you fast and you would just be hungry. But what's both like from religious perspectives and also just from physiological perspectives, fasting has a way of tuning and sharpening our awareness of things. And so I was watching a documentary where it talked about like a Aboriginal community that hunts for food, that they will wait until they haven't eaten for 3 or 4 days to go hunting, because their senses are more in tune with their surroundings, and they are more successful because they can hear better and see better, and their physicalness is more responsive because their body is in survival mode. And so I think there is something to a clarity that comes after fasting, and how our body kind of shifts into a different way of functioning. So yeah, the tempter came and said, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live on bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." So what is the power? What is power that the tempter is offering here? Power to meet Jesus's own physical needs. He was hungry, and now he's going to be able to be fed. What does Jesus need according to the tempter? Jesus needs food, and then everything will be better. And but yet Jesus was intentionally fasting as a spiritual practice, and this whisper comes in that says, no, you need to eat something. And I love that Jesus' response is, that's not my purpose right now. That's not where I'm finding my strength right now. That's not what is sustaining me right now. What's sustaining me is God. And you're not going to stop that. And so you see both the temptation of using his gifts, his abilities for his own comfort, his own sustenance, and also that offer would create a division because it suggests that life is found someplace else. The tempter is the whisper that says, you don't need God, eat the apple. God can't be trusted. And Jesus isn't falling for that. He is saying, I know what I'm doing. Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, and so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Before we get into the details of that, I think it's interesting to just note that both the devil and Jesus are quoting scripture. They're both able to find, or to cherry pick, as the term is used in theological circles, verses from scripture to support their perspective. And I think that still happens today, for good and for bad. That we can weaponize scripture to some extent, where the devil is trying to get him to do something that will divide and will lead him astray and all of these things. And he is able to find scriptures to validate that. We've seen that in church history. During the Holocaust, we saw scripture being used. During slavery, we've seen scripture being used in lots of different ways of oppressing other people. Scripture has been used, crusades, all of it. And that isn't of God. That is these sources of power listening to whispers that say, God can't be trusted. Take it upon yourself. It's justified because it says right here. And and so then what power is being offered in this particular vignette? Jesus could throw himself from the temple and be saved. And what happens then? What happens is everybody who is gathered around the temple would know that Jesus is special, that Jesus is set apart, that Jesus is capable. And again, that is a quick fix, right? It is a self-serving use of his power in order to achieve a shortcut to the end goal. So if you are the Son of God, since you are the Son of God, then do this and they'll know. And Jesus says, well, first he says, do not put the Lord your God to the test. Like, scripture isn't there just so that we can test it. Our relationship with God isn't about what we can get out of it. But also his choice to not do that is a sign of his commitment to relationships. How Jesus reveals himself to the world is through personal interactions with people, changing the course of their life, and then word spreads and people begin to know who he is. It's not flashy, it's not spectacle. It is, again, always focused around his relationship with other people and how to help them find wholeness and healing and connection. And this wouldn't achieve any of those things. What's interesting, both with the first temptation and with this one, is that we do see elements that look similar to this come out in his ministry. Jesus does provide bread to people when they are hungry, and Jesus does work miracles, but they're not, the intention for them isn't to bolster himself or to serve himself. The intention for them is to provide wholeness and connection for other people. And that's significant, that matters. And so, yeah, Jesus isn't just a circus act to come and marvel at. And even when he does begin to do miracles, he is intentional about encouraging people not to share it widely, because he doesn't want to just become a magician. He wants to be, he is the Messiah. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, all these I will give you, if you fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him. And so what temptation, what is the power being offered? Well, this is the quintessential political power, like to rule the world. And he, again, is making it easy. You can rule the world right now. All you have to do is worship me. And what is the potential division there? Well, the potential division there is between who is the real giver of that power. Well, that's God. Who is the one that is the most powerful? That's God. And Satan is saying, I am capable of giving this to you. He's doing that on all of them, right? Like he's like, well, this is the one where he's saying, I am the one who has this and you can have it, but it's not his to give. And this isn't the type of power that Jesus is looking for. He's not going to be the next Jewish king. He's not going to be overthrow the Roman government. He's going to have power that will change the face of the world, but it will look differently than what the world expected it to look like. And so this creates the potential division between him and God, right? This idea of you will serve God alone. The devil is saying, you will, if you bow down and worship me, then you will become the ruler. And that's not Jesus's path forward. I see within here this disconnection, like as far as division is concerned. With the first little vignette, we kind of had this, like, what would happen? Well, he's going to divide Jesus against Jesus, and that, like, where is your power come from? Your power comes not like Jesus isn't strong enough to not eat. You need food. And God isn't the provider of that, so this kind of division between Jesus and himself and his own capabilities, but also then this divinity of the triune God coming into play. And then the second one, it is the potential of dividing him and his people. He has come to change people's lives and to show them this other, right? This idea of wholeness and completeness. And if he just makes a spectacle of himself, he's not able to reveal that to them fully. How Jesus reveals it is through these personal interactions. And those personal interactions are undercut by the show, the spectacle. And Jesus stands firm and then, no, that's not my path forward. That's not the path to the passion. And then this last one again of who's the ultimate power and authority. Well, God alone is the source of power and authority. And it's with that final say of, like, your power is not the power I'm looking for, that the devil leaves him, the divider leaves him, and angels, messengers of God, come and wait upon Jesus. And so I just love this notion of, like, from the very beginning, Jesus is seeing what's going to be in front of him. Like, these are the things he's going to be dealing with. The Pharisees will continue to throw these same kinds of problems his way, same kind of conflict his way. And not just the Pharisees, all over the place. Jesus will continuously see these similar ideas coming forward, and every single time it'll be met with the, you think it's that way, but it's this way. And he will demonstrate power, he will demonstrate love, he will demonstrate connection over division. And it starts here. Like, this is the foundation of that. Like, this is his kind of business plan. If you're thinking about the entrepreneurial way of, like, this is of starting something new. From the very beginning, Jesus is laying out, this is the plan, this is the path that I'm taking, and it's not going to be this way. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope this one is successful and I actually get it recorded and I'm able to share it. And I hope to see you on Sunday as we think about this with a little bit more intention behind the fasting side of it, of what is out there that is whispering into our lives that you need this in order to have full life. and you need this to feel complete, and then not actually delivering on that. And so how do we break those connections? How do we break those chains, really, so that we can have real authentic connection with God, ourselves, our family, and our neighbors? So hope to see you. Bye.